Very good afternoon to you. It's just after 3 on this Thursday afternoon. Now, I'm delighted to welcome my next guest, Peter Darley, to BBC Radio Leicester today. Now, Peter is a best-selling novelist with his work topping book charts across the globe. But it's been quite the journey with highs and lows to get to that stage. We're going to find out more about what makes Peter Darley tick, I think is the best way to look at it. A very good afternoon to you, Peter. How are you?
I'm doing great, AD, and it's great to be here.
No, thank you so much for coming in. Now, honestly, Peter, I'm really looking forward to this and to talking to you today because, I mean, you're a best-selling novelist from Burbage, but I think it's fair to say you're a born entertainer, aren't you?
Yes.
I mean, the list of jobs that you know in your bio, it's always nice because before the in-depth guests come in, we get sent a list of a bio about, what you do, Peter. Now, you've done everything, from voiceover art,
Yes.
You've starred on television, you've been in commercial, as well as being a best-selling novelist. When did you know? Was it from an early age that you knew that you just wanted to get out and entertain people?
I always wanted to be self-employed. I was always averse to working for somebody else. I had a really rough time at school, teachers, and I wanted to be sort of free of authority figures. And I think that really comes through in my books as well. So if I could do something on my own, and doing what I wanted to do, that was very, very appealing to me. So I went to drama school when I was 18. It was back in the day when it was extremely difficult for one to get one's equity card. So I set up a sideline and became a magician.
Now, you're a professional, a close-up magician.
Yeah.
I always think this is the proper way of being a magician because there are no rooms for any kind of mistake or anything like that, is there?
And no camera tricks.
No camera tricks at all. So you set that up when you were 18?
I did, yeah. Within 9 months, I could. The problem with acting is at the time you couldn't get a job without having an equity card, and you couldn't get an equity card without having had 6 professional engagements and 2 for the future. So what I did is I got there via the variety route, set up a magic act, and essentially employed myself, got the contracts, and got my card within 9 months.
So not only you're a born entertainer, kind of that entrepreneurial kind of side as well of thinking, right, this is where I want to get to. This is what I want to do. I don't want to work for the man. I want to be out there on my own. To do that, I've got to set up, and that's how you do it. I mean, I can only imagine you must have learned a lot of important lessons from doing that at such a young age.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop there. From being a professional close-up magician, you've been an agent for several variety acts. As I said, you've done voiceover work. I mean, it always amazes me. How do you find yourself doing voiceover work?
I was doing a lot of presenting work as well, via the acting route, because I wasn't always on stage, I wasn't always on television. I mean, television work was what I really wanted to do, because if I'm brutally honest, that's where the money is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was very, very difficult to come by, and for the most part, I found myself working in exhibitions, doing corporate presentations, and I did a few television commercials as well, which also led to certain companies that I was doing the commercials for. They said, would you like to do our radio series as well? So I went to various different stations around the country, doing these radio voiceovers, and that job would lead to another one, which would lead to another one, and it just spread through like a network at the time. This was quite a long time ago, though. So
this is right back at the start, because as you said, you were a graduate of the Birmingham School of Speech and Drama. You studied television drama at RADA as well. So in those early kind of years of coming out, of graduating, like you say, television work was incredibly hard to come by. Was that what it was? Was it just voiceover work and the magician work that kept you going?
It was lucky that I'd got the magic thing going, because I couldn't possibly make a living as an actor. I don't think anybody can, especially when you're that age, because there's an influx of actors coming out of drama school at the age of 22. So when you're in that age group, the market is absolutely swamped, and it's like a lottery win getting a job. So it was very good that I had this magic sideline thing to subsidise myself with it in the meantime.
And also, we've got to talk as well about the modelling work. Of course, because this is the thing, Peter. This is what I love, that you've done so much. You are we're going to keep using this phrase, but a born entertainer. Modelling work. How did you come into that field as well? From a magician.
I just gave it a shot. I really did. I just gave it a shot, and that was a lot of work as well, because it involved a lot of test shoots, getting composite cards together. but everything that I found doing that was everything was an audition.
Right.
There was I was one face among about 50 that the agencies had sent off, and I did do quite a bit, but not enough to make it worth my while. I was in the gym all the time as well to keep it going, and it was becoming a bit of a bind. I suppose that all came to an end somewhere around 2002.
Right. And it was one of those things I can only imagine, like you say, it doesn't sound like you enjoyed it very much at all. It was kind of a way to make ends meet almost.
Yeah.
To come out of that.
It was fun when I did the job. It was quite enjoyable. I met some really good people, some not so good people, but and it wasn't particularly hard work in and of itself. It was acquiring the work and keeping everything maintained that was the hard work. And
not consistent almost.
No, it
kind of hit and miss a little bit of what you got. I mean, you saying then about trying to get into you like we said you graduated from the Birmingham School of Speech and Drama, RADA. You did have television credits, that's what you wanted to get to. And again, there's an extensive list of shows that you appeared in.
Yeah.
What I've got in front of me here, BBC's Crime Limited, Stanley's Dragon for ITV, The Bill, Sky One's Dream Team.
Dream Team was devastating for me because I'd got, it wasn't a brilliant role. It was, I was playing a hairdresser. It was a regular role in the series. I did 3 episodes and then I had a call from the first assistant director. And he was very, very apologetic, and he said that they're building this character in as a major character in the series, but you're not going to be playing him. And I said, why not? He says, well, he assured me it had nothing to do with me personally. The producer had given my role to a close personal friend as a Christmas present.
You're joking?
That's what happened. Yeah, that's what it's like.
Because, I mean, Dream Team was on Sky One. It was like a football kind of, fiction of
That's right.
Was it Harchester United?
Harchester United,
that kind of like the ups and downs. I mean, it was EastEnders of a football club, wasn't it? But a very, very popular TV series at the time.
Yes, I think it ran for about 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yeah. And, I mean, what was that like, to finally think, right, I've cracked this.
I've got a regular role in a TV series and then I get the rug pulled out from under me. It's horrible.
Awful, absolutely awful.
Yeah.
How did you bounce back from that?
I just carried on doing what I was doing. You do have to brush yourself off and keep on pursuing. Ultimately, I found myself doing exhibitions, promos in sort of corporate settings and corporate videos as well. I did a lot of presenting for corporate videos, surprisingly enough. And it got to the point where it was becoming increasingly difficult to get work. And I did the craziest thing I've ever done in my life.
Which was, you can't leave us like that, Peter. This is where the writing, I believe, begins, is it?
Indirectly.
Indirectly.
I went to law school.
You went to law school?
Mm-hmm.
Blimey.
I studied for 4 years at De Montfort University and I graduated with honours in 2007.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're a best-selling novelist.
Yeah.
You've been a model, you've been a magician, you've been at TV, you voiceover, you've been in TV commercials, you've been an agent, you've done all of these things, and then you go to law school.
Then I went to law school,
For 4 years.
For 4 years.
What was that like?
It was really, really hard work. Because I was pushing for a high grade and I got it, but it was I was studying every waking hour. It was absolutely mentally exhausting. And but by the time I think I got to my second year, I realised this just isn't me at all. But you know the old saying, I've started, so I'll finish. And I took it right to the end. But ultimately, I didn't become a lawyer, and I chose not to, and that's what ultimately led to me becoming a writer. I had spent 4 years writing assignments, writing theses and exams and so on. 4 years writing out some really, really tiring, boring stuff. And I wanted to write something that was fun. And I originally got commissioned to, my entree, my writing practice in the fiction world is that I was commissioned by 5 publishers, 2 in England, 3 in America, in total, to write, dare I say, erotic novels.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Mills and Boon,
No, it wasn't Mills and Boon, for sure. But it was, what I felt with that is I was being directed as to what to write. I was sort of making up the stories, but it was very much like if you can remember being at school and somebody gives you a English essay class, write a story revolving around this, and this. So the initial idea isn't yours anyway. And I found myself doing this for 3 years, the pay was lousy, but I thought, okay, this is like paid writing practice.
Yeah.
Then in 2010, I thought, now I'm going to write what I want to write.
Well, that's an interesting point because, like you say, kind of being set a theme almost. Setting right. This is what we want you to write about, Peter. You can imagine it now up on the board. That's where we're going. That's how it's going to finish. But was there some kind of I guess igniting? You've already got this creative flair. Clearly, it's almost born into you've got this creativity.
I know, it's amazing. I'm the only member of my family who's even remotely like this. There's nobody else. Absolutely nobody.
You got everybody else's genes. You see, that's why you got everybody else's creative genes.
Yeah, but not my family. I mean, my brother, for example, he's got a sort of a traditional family type job. He's an airline pilot. So, but he doesn't read anything. He couldn't create anything. He couldn't make anything up in the sort of creative sense.
But you've got this, like you're saying, you've had 4 years. I mean, you spent, it's fair to say, almost 10 years, kind of like studying throughout the course of your earlier years.
Yeah.
You set these assignments to write these books, these saucy books, shall we say. Was that where it stirred? Is that when you thought, right, I'm enjoying this, but I'd enjoy
I enjoy writing my own
stream
stuff
of consciousness,
more,
yeah.
Yeah, and in 2010, I think it was around about the beginning of winter 2010, I started to write the first draft of Hold On.
Right.
And I intended it to be just a standalone book. I had no concept of a sequel when I started writing this, and it was a combination of a flood of ideas that were in my head at the time, very much influenced, I think, by American television.
I was going to ask you about this because obviously with what you were kind of, paid your first paid writing way, it's completely different to the Hold On trilogy. This is it's completely so what inspired you, because this is very much sci-fi and fantasy.
It is I'm awkward with the term sci-fi on it.
Okay.
A lot of people, I've got the sci-fi tag on it because a lot of people would interpret it as sci-fi because they don't know that a lot of the gadgets and technological stuff in it already exists.
So it's kind of one. Do you have to be careful with that? Because, like you say, with putting it under, a heading as such with a book, you don't want to alienate yourself to be. Sci-fi is a huge market, is it? Is it a case of saying, right, okay, this is sci-fi, and okay, you're a little bit uncomfortable with it, but you've got a bigger keep net as such. Or catch now, I should say.
Yeah, it does make it difficult on Amazon when you've got to type in your keywords.
Yeah.
So there's a long list of stuff that it can fit into, I think, at the moment. It's thrillers, romance, suspense, romantic suspense, because that's a category in its own right, techno thrillers, conspiracies, sci-fi. It goes on and on and on, this list of keywords.
So making sure, what would you class it as? What would you class your trilogy as? Hold on. Like I say, we're going back to the first book, obviously, in 2010 here. If you were to say, if me and you were to meet in a pub or having a beer, okay, nice to meet you. I write books. What kind of books do you write, Peter?
I would say its primary genre is thriller.
Thriller.
That is what I would say. It's very much in the kind of spirit or the tradition of the TV shows Prison Break and 24.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Does that?
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I know.
With a bit more of a romantic slant.
With a bit more of a romantic slant to it. It was quite the journey, and I find this fascinating. Again, reading about the journey that you went on, through to get your book published, because there were so many highs and so many lows. To get
horrendous.
That first book, and let's be honest about it, this nearly never happened. This never. You've been around the world with this book.
Yeah.
Go from the start. You've got these ideas. You know what you want to do, and you want to get it out there. How do you go about getting your book published?
I first of all applied to just about every literary agent in the UK and didn't get anywhere. And that didn't really surprise me because it's much more Hollywood than it is British entertainment, and that's why I do all my. If you look on Amazon UK, you won't find many reviews for them at all. But if you look on Amazon US, there are hundreds of reviews because that's where I've pushed it. The US is my primary catchment area for this series. So I struck out with everybody in the UK, and then I started to approach all of the literary agents in the US, and I hit another 60 or so rejections. And it's very, very difficult when you get rejection emails constantly coming through just off the basic premise. So then I employed the assistance of former New York Times literary agent, or best-selling literary agent, to actually help me with my query letter, and he did. And very, very soon, I had some interest from a literary agent in Florida.
Right.
But she'd recently had a bereavement, and she said it would take her 5 to 6 months to get to the book. And she was very reasonable, I have to say. She encouraged me to keep on searching for a publisher in the meantime. So I kept on with the query letter and sending it out. And very quickly, Hold On was picked up by a publisher in Michigan. And I thought, wow, finally, it's over. And I just started immediately working on the sequel. It just inspired me to write a sequel. I had no intention of writing a sequel. Hold On came to an end. I created a cliffhanger out of it, literally by putting the words "to be continued" at the end. People don't. If I took that away, it just ends. She's going to be reunited with him, and that's the end of it. But just by putting TBC at the end, people actually think, "Oh God, I've got to buy the next one."
Yeah, what's happening? Yeah.
And so I started working on the sequel, and I was about halfway through it a year later, when I received the devastating news that my publisher was folding. So I'd waited a year.
A whole year waiting.
A whole year waiting. It was a week before Hold On was due to go to press.
Life on hold. Hold On is waiting to come out.
It's there. Yeah.
And they go bankrupt. That's it. They fold.
They didn't go bankrupt. They chose to fold the business. It was they were cutting their losses, and they decided they didn't want to pursue it anymore. So I was back to square one. So I went back to the literary agent in Florida and explained to her what had happened, only to find out that she had now retired.
Is that when you think everything's against you here? You think,
absolutely.
You know what?
Yeah.
This book is not meant to come out. Yeah. This is something like you said, 60 rejection letters. You've had all this rejection. You think, right, I've got 2 publishers now. Both of them have let me down at the last minute. Is that when you think, right, I've got that. I've studied for law. I'm going to go back into that.
No, I kept on. I just persisted.
Kept going.
After about the next one I approached was Writer's Coffee Shop in Australia.
Right.
Now, Writer's Coffee Shop went from nothing to becoming an overnight empire off the back of one single title. 50 Shades of Grey. They were the original publishers of 50 Shades of Grey, and I thought, if I could get in with them, then that would be pretty good. So I approached them with it, and they took an interest in Hold On straight away. But there were certain plot lines in it that they wanted me to remove, to replace with other plot lines, and I had long discussions with them, and I worked with them on it. For the better part of 4 months. There was a major plot line they wanted me to remove. There was a subplot they wanted me to remove, and to replace it with even more action, which I did. And there's a complete arc of, I think, around about 7 chapters that were in the original draft that are no longer there. But what I replaced it with was absolute full-on, cliffhanger-laden, nail-biting action. And after about 3 months, I started to send them one new chapter after another. And I didn't get any response from them. They just completely ignored me. And it was going on and on and on. And it for 4 months. And I got to the point where I thought, well, I can't sit around waiting for them forever. So I resumed my search. Had about 5 more rejections. And then in 2013, about this time of year, 2013, I got picked up by a publisher in New York.
Right. We're going to leave it there, Peter. We're going to break for the 3:30. Okay. You're used to your cliffhangers. Now, if this isn't a cliffhanger, that there's been 3 publishers that have rejected so far. Well, 2 that have rejected and 1 that just ignored you, which is awful, which is terribly rude anyway. New York comes in and almost saves the day. We'll find out more about this after the 3:30 news headline.
A.D. Damon.
BBC Radio Leicester.
Yes, and a very good afternoon to you as well. It is me, Andy Damon, sitting for Ben Jackson this week. My very, very special guest, Peter Darley, joins me in the studio today. A natural-born entertainer and novelist extraordinaire, best-selling novelist, I should say. We left with a bit of a cliffhanger, Peter, because obviously we'd said, this rejection of not being able to get your book published. You finally have some luck in New York. Someone picked your book up.
It appeared to be luck at the time. It was signed to this particular publisher who I personally can't name due to a contract term. But I was with them for 9 months in total. During that time, I'd pursued promoting the book quite extensively. I'd picked up a celebrity review. I think I was probably the only author on their list that had actually got a celebrity review for a book, and they just threw it away. They were highly restrictive. They didn't promote the book, and more than that, they tried to impede me from promoting it as well. And it all came to a head when I asked them 3 times if they would be willing to put the sequel's release date at the end of Hold On before the sequel was going to be released, because this was going to cost me a better part of $1,000 to promote it. And their responses were totally non-committal, and it was starting to agitate me. Things started to get a little bit heated, and then they unlawfully forced a cancellation notice on me for my sequel. They'd already accepted it. They'd already signed the sequel, and I was the only one in the contract that could have cancelled this contract, and only after satisfying a specific number of criteria. They just ran roughshod over that, cancelled it, knowing that for me to fight it legally, transatlantic legal action would have cost probably a better part of £100,000. Wow. And it was just an absolutely horrendous time, because they said they were keeping Hold On. A book that ends on a cliffhanger. I couldn't have done anything with the other 2. I was halfway through the 3rd one as well.
The first one's published. The first one's out there. You want to get the other 2 out there as quickly as possible, because people want to read these, and you're left.
They're left. They're going nowhere. They're not promoting them. They're stopping me from promoting them. Their communication is absolutely appalling. I'd ask them a question. I'd wait 7 days for a response. The response would come through saying something like likes of, "I received this, thank you." And that was the end of that. Just nonsense. And it was getting out of control. And then she cancelled the sequel, but said that that she was going to keep Hold On. I could do nothing with this series unless I'd got the rights to the first book. And it was going on for around about 2 weeks. There was absolutely no reasoning with this person at all. It was horrendous, until finally the only option that I had left to me was I had to buy my own book back from them.
We're going to stop. We're going to have a piece of your music now. Now, you've picked 3 incredible tracks, record-breaking, some of them in particular as well. We're at the stage now, Peter, I could listen to you all day, honestly. You've bought your books back now after this huge battle and hard work of getting them out there. You've had to buy them back. Now, the first song we've got for you today is Charming Grace and Gotta Get Away. Yeah. Tell me about this song.
This is what actually got me back into writing after I released the 3rd book, because I decided to throw the towel in. During the summer of 2015, I put on YouTube, just for my own amusement, Hold On, the soundtrack, featuring the rock songs that had driven the book. Right. One of the artists in one of the songs in the soundtrack video found it and contacted me on Facebook. He wrote an editorial about it on melodicrock.com and proposed that he wanted to write and record the official theme song to my next book. And I had no plans for writing another book. That actually prompted it. My latest novel, Hold On Tomorrow, is beyond any shadow of a doubt the product of a unique collaboration between Storyteller and the gods of rock. Gotta Get Away by Charming Grace is the first song in history to have been recorded specifically for a novel.
Got no reason to stay. from everything to realize that you've been fighting harder than most people do. Don't lose yourself in something true. It's time to find your way, to find your brand new way. I'm falling down and I can't stop. I can't reach for the light when the fear takes its hold. I'm bleeding now and crying out in the wrath of my fate. I believe in the storm, but I live blind. It's starting slowly to flow. The awareness of the strength inside my waiting soul. You gotta get away from this nightmare of a life. You gotta get away from everything to realize that you've been fighting harder than most people do. Don't lose yourself in something true. It's time to find your way, to find your brand new you've been fighting harder than most people do. Don't lose yourself in something true. It's time to find your way. You gotta get away from this nightmare of a life. You gotta get away from everything to realize that you've been fighting harder than most people do. Don't lose yourself in something true. It's time to find your way, to find your brand new way. You gotta get away. You gotta get away.
Charming Grace featuring Nick Workman there of Vega and Gotta Get Away. How does that feel? Hearing that now, Peter. Hold On Tomorrow. Okay,
Yeah.
the third book in the trilogy.
Fourth.
A fourth book, sorry. Released at the start of October. It's the first novel in history to have had a song written especially for it.
That's correct.
Does that make all of those rejection letters, all of the messing around that happened with publishers, all of the blood, sweat and tears that go into getting your work out, does it make it all worthwhile when you have somebody like that say, right, I'd love to write a song? How can you put that into words?
It's more than that. It's certainly one of the most extraordinary things that's ever happened to me, and one of the most exciting things that's ever happened to me. And it's, like I said, it's more than that. I've not only got this extraordinary record of the first song in history to have been written for a book, but I've got some terrific friends out of it. The band guys are just absolutely superb. Per Paolo Monti, the mastermind behind all this, has become a really good friend to me. I'm really good friends with Nick from Vega. and Dave Barberi, the lead singer of Charming Grace, he's a terrific guy too. Last Saturday I had a meeting with Alejandro Del Vecchio in Nottingham. He was the guy who did the mixing and mastering, and he's got an album. He's a multi-instrumentalist and vocalist. He's got his own band now with an album resume as long as the phone book. And it was all hugs and kisses. It was just absolutely, it's been an amazing experience.
It's interesting to hear though, because you've worked incredibly hard for it to get to this stage, and that's what we've said at the start. There's been highs, there's been lows. It doesn't get much higher than this though, does it? Your book's out, the work's being published, you've bought it back, you've got your work out there finally.
I got my work out there when I bought Hold On back from my publisher. I think it was somewhere near number 1 million in the rankings on Amazon. So I took it back, and I'd made some terrific friends along the way. Novelist Patricia Harold and my friend Rachel. And together we went through the manuscript, and discovered that it did need more editing. They were absolutely brilliant for me, because not a lot of people realise that even though American sounds English, on paper it looks totally different. They have a different dictionary. We have the New Oxford, they have the Webster's, and sweetheart, you got a Brit spelling in there, and they were just diamonds. They really were. It was superb. And within 6 weeks, I had taken. It was an enormous promotion that I did. I was working around the clock on it, but I took it from number 1 million in the rankings to number 1 on Amazon US. And in the day after, I released the sequel. Finally, we then worked for another couple of months on the third one. Hold On Tomorrow. Hold On season 3, and I released that in August of last year. But it had been a really, really rough ride. Even though I'd got this number 1 status and everything, I decided I'm going to leave it behind, or at the very least, I need a rest from it.
Yeah.
And then 1 week later, I got this email from Pier Paolo it was a message on Facebook actually. He wanted to write and record the official theme song to my next book, which is the song that you've just heard, and I was just blown away by it. He'd found one of his songs in a bogus Hold On soundtrack video I'd put on YouTube for my own amusement, and he was really excited about that. He wanted to write the theme to my next book, and if somebody had said to me at the time, "What is it going to take to get you back into writing?" I wouldn't have been able to tell you. That got me back into writing,
really?
And immediately I started to draft out the 4th book. Hold On Tomorrow, which is like a next generation spin-off, takes place in the year 2042. The technology is much more advanced. It's got a bit of a superhero vibe to it. I had enormous fun writing Hold On Tomorrow, especially with the backing of all these rock gods. It was just an absolutely brilliant experience. It took me about a year to write it, and it was finally released on October the 1st of this year. And that song there was during along the way when he actually first said that he was going to record the official themes on my next book. He then dropped it on me that he'd managed to poach Nick Workman, the lead singer of international rock band Vega, to sing duet on it. And I thought, this can't be happening. This is just not true, because I was a fan of Vega as well. And I met up with Nick, and we hit it off really well. Earlier this year, Vega released their 4th album, an album called Who We Are, and Nick sent me an email and with a link to a video, this enormously expensive video for the first single release from the new album called White Flag, and he said, "This is a song about you." It was a song about me and the writing world, and I couldn't believe it, and I think it's coming up.
Here it is now. This is that song that was written about my very special guest today, Peter Darley, Vega, and White Flag.
With hearts and minds we go to war. The battle lines are drawn. silent scream, the ashes of a burned out dream. If you got nothing to lose, you got it all to do. If there's something to prove, it's you. When all your scars tell you who you are, don't raise your white flag. When your hopes and dreams have gone to smithereens, don't raise your white flag. Why did you run from under the gun? Why did you stop chasing the sun? When your night and day only get in the way, don't raise your white flag. With every cut and every bruise, another piece of you. You made a choice but never got to choose. A stolen kiss, a brush with fate, a stab in the back by your blind faith. You gotta take it all in, you gotta let it ride, you gotta take it between the eyes. When all your scars tell you who you are, don't raise your white flag. When your hopes and dreams have blown to smithereens, don't raise your white flag. Why did you run from under the gun? Why did you stop chasing the sun? When your night and day only get in the way, don't raise your white flag. Fight fire with fire, the truth and the liar. Don't cry me a river when your hope drowns. Don't raise your white flag. Don't raise your white flag. When all your scars tell you who you are, don't raise your white flag. When your hopes and dreams have gone to smithereens, don't raise your white flag. Why did you run from under the gun? Why did you stop chasing the sun? When your night and day only get in the way, don't raise your white flag. Fight fire with fire every day. The flames getting higher in my way. Fight fire with fire every day. The flames getting higher in my
Vega and White Flag there. Peter, what does it mean hearing that even now, knowing that that song's written about you?
It just blows me away. I mean, I didn't know anything about this until it was all done, and the thought that he had based a song on my experiences of the writing world was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
It really was absolutely mind blowing, and the video that goes with the song is absolutely spectacular as well. So it was like, pinch myself, make sure this is real. I never imagined anything like this would happen, and around about this time as well, Hold On went to number one in April of this year. Again, that's the second time it's been at number one.
Incredible.
And it's been one extraordinary ride. It really has.
If people want more information, Peter, we've got one final piece of music to play. Yeah. We really want to make sure that we play this one as well. There's a Hold On trilogy and Hold On Tomorrow. If people want to get hold of them, if people want more information, how do they go about doing it?
They're on Amazon. The whole Hold On, they're available individually, or they're available. The trilogy is available also in a box set, and Hold On Tomorrow is a separate is a sort of tag on the new book on its own. But the titles are Hold On, Go, Hold On Season 2, Run, Hold On Season 3, and then if you want them all together, the Hold On Trilogy box set. They're all up on Amazon, and all the information can be found on my website, peterdarley.com.
So if you want any more information at all, www.peterdarley.com. It's been great having you in today, Peter. I really, really thoroughly have enjoyed it. If anybody's listening and is looking for something different to read, especially, I think it's a good time of year, isn't it? You're coming into autumn, winter, you like the log burner up. If you're not,
Yeah.
if you're going to be reading a book and you're not on holiday, it's this time of year,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
So your work is aimed at people of thrillers, sci-fi we use loosely, the term. But if you're into your thrillers, then do try the Hold On trilogy and the brand new book, which is kind of like you say,
That is
follows
sci-fi.
on. That is
That is definitely sci-fi. Yeah.
Hold On Tomorrow. More information, www.peterdarley.com. Peter, it's been great. This is your
terrific.
last song. Very quickly, why have you picked this and why?
It's my favourite song. It's a classic rock anthem with the most haunting melody, beautifully produced, beautifully sung. It's just awesomeness defined.
Here we go, Peter Darley. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
I hear the ticking of the clock. I'm lying here, the room's pitch dark. I wonder where you are tonight. No answer on the telephone. And the night goes by so very slow. Oh, I hope that it won't end though. Alone. Till now, I always got by on my own. I never really cared until I met you. And now it tells me to the moon. How do I get to alone? How do I get to alone? You don't know how long I have wanted to touch your lips and hold you tight. Oh, you don't know how long I have waited, and I was gonna tell you tonight. But the secret is still my own, and my love for you is still unknown. Alone.
Heart and Alone there. The final choice of my very special guest, Peter Darley, who joined me today as an in-depth guest.